I remember having, and I don't know if she shared it with you, but I remember having a really uncomfortable conversation with Abby one day. For everybody who doesn't know, Abby is his wife, about how untrusting I was of High On Hope and skeptical I was of you when High On Hope started. Did she tell you about this conversation?
No, she didn't.
Okay. But I was sharing with her that, you know, in all of like my fever of what I was doing and how dedicated I was, you know, I was hearing about what you were doing, and as a churched person, there was a lot of like filters that got me there. And so I was like, who is this joker?
Yeah.
What is this dude from Beckley talking about?
Yeah.
And then I would hear, and because anytime something is new, there's always an argument before there's acceptance, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you guys came on the scene and brought High On Hope, I didn't understand how the two could go together because, again, I was taught how to do my job in the halls of higher education, where my ethics say that I'm really not supposed to bring my personal beliefs into things. Right. As a therapist, I'm not even really technically allowed to tell you what my spiritual ideologies are, because I'm supposed to be a blank canvas for you, just to splatter paint onto me. And so it was so strange to me that there was, from the very beginning, this identification of like dogma and theology and like, this is who we are. It was when we were at Warren. Remember we went out there for that PD day? Yeah. And I hadn't met you ever before because I had reached out to Shay and Rich, and they had something else to do in the afternoon. So you came in with Katie, and you came in in this like Fat Joe style long furred jacket. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this guy is everything I think he is, like total judgment. And then he started talking, and I was like, you are an awful person for that judgment, Janice. Like, you are out here trying to preach that addicts are misunderstood and that alcoholics have a disease and all of this stuff. And like, look at you. What is wrong with you? So you get up, you start sharing your story, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so freaking powerful. Wow. Like, how in the world did you let yourself get so lost, Janice, that you forgot that you weren't the only person in the world that can do positive for somebody else? And I think sometimes when we talk about spirituality, but higher than that, like, I would like for you to find some type of spirituality, some type of spiritual connection with the power that is greater than yourself. Yeah. And because in my mind, the only reason you would talk about the Bible is because you're a pastor, you're a preacher, you're leading a congregation. So it did not they absolutely did not compute. Yeah. And I'm willing to bet that for most people in our area, it was the same. Yeah. Because we'd never been exposed to something so obvious, but not at all what our experience was. Right.
That was that was one of the things I had to really fight against when I first moved here is, you know, and that's one of the things that was beautiful about the ministry I went into, because you know, most religious people want you to conform to who they are, and so I was never taught that. I was taught that you are uniquely you. You don't have to change, regardless of how much word you're going to spit out of your mouth. You can go just like this, and it's fine. And I'm so thankful for that, because, you know, I had to fight against so much religion when I first moved here, because it's like the opposite of what we're trying to portray. The religious side is this set of rules and all these things. You're not allowed to do that. You can't wear a hat in church. You can't do this. You can't wear your hat backwards and talk about Jesus. And so there was all these negative things I had to kind of like battle when I first came. But I was like, but if I just stay authentically who I am, and I don't conform to, you know, what a religion says I have to be, if I truly stay who God made me to be, my chances of connecting with people are much greater than, and so I've always tried to be, you know, just stay like as much myself as possible. But you're right. I think it took years before people actually began warming up to High On Hope, because I think a lot of that too was, you know, these assumptions that were made. And also, Jesus don't look like that, you know, like that's not what it looks like. Yeah. So I think that, you know, we had to fight through that, but. And I think another assumption people made was like you said, like, Jesus doesn't look like that.
You never showed up and said, I'm Jesus either.
Exactly.
But like, it is that thing that we do, like culturally, when you're trying to like create a cultural shift, we'll any grain of any grain of sand that we can hold on to keep from believing in something that forces us to change the way that we look at the world. We're going to hold on.
Anything that's unfamiliar, we have fear of. Yeah. And so if it's not familiar to us, we're always going to have fear, which is like why Christians are afraid of therapy or why therapy is afraid of faith. You know, like there's these two things that the world, you know, says can't coexist.
Right.
When, you know, it's only the fear of the unknown. That's the reason we don't wander into those areas. And I think that, you know, to see our community truly transformed and to see real change happen, those things have to be able to coincide together.